So welcome everybody to this meeting of the Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization. First item here is a call to order, accessibility statement, and Title VI notice of non-discrimination. So Charlie, do you usually read these notices?
Yeah, we pair that off. I can read this. So
Sure.
this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website at oldcolonyplanning.org. And please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. As part of that agenda item, we also maybe call the roll just to see which members are present.
Yes, so representing Secretary Fiandaca, Derek Cravat.
Yep, Derek Cravat here.
Representing Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver, Pam Hasner.
Hasner here.
And from the City of Brockton, Kamaya Parkin.
Here. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. West Bridgewater, Meredith Anderson, Select Board.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. From West Whitman, Dan Salvucci, Whitman
Thank
Board
you.
of Selectmen.
Present.
Brockton Area Transit, Glenn Geiler.
Thank you. Representing Michael Lambert, present.
Old Colony Planning Council, Valerie Massard.
Good morning, present.
And Lee Hartman, Plymouth. I don't see him in the, but we do have a quorum present. We have 7 of the 8.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Charlie. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Is there anyone present that would like to make a public comment? All right. Seeing none, if you do have any comments during the meeting, feel free to use the raise hand function on Zoom or type something into the Q&A or chat, and we'll be sure to call on you. If you're calling in on the phone, you can press *9, and I believe that will raise your hand and we'll be able to call on you for a comment. The next item is the approval of the January 17th, 2023 Old Colony MPO meeting minutes.
I will make that motion, Dan Salvucci, Whitman.
Okay.
Second, Mary Anderson, West Bridgewater.
Okay, thank you. So motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Charlie.
You're muted, Charlie.
Sorry about that. Derek Cravat.
Yes.
Pam Hasner.
Approve.
Kamaya Parkin.
Yes.
Mary Anderson.
Yes.
Dan Salvucci.
Yes.
Glenn Geiler.
Yes.
Valerie Massard.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is the Brockton Area Transit Report. So I'll ask a BAT representative to give any updates.
Thank you. No report today. I'll provide comments with our next agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, great, sounds good. Moving on to agenda item 5, which is the federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 Old Colony Transportation Improvement Program adjustments and amendments. So I know we're set to vote to endorse an amendment today. So I'll turn it over to Bill McNulty first and Glenn to describe this amendment.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. So today we're, like Derek just asked, we're seeking to endorse TIP Amendment 1, which has been out for public review and comment for a while. So just want to skip forward, Sean. So just to recap, this is this amendment was to program in 4 grant awards from MassDOT through the Community Transit Grant Program. These are Section 5310 projects. So these are grants. These are basically additional projects that they don't change the funding of existing projects in the tip at all. They don't bump any projects. It's just adding new projects. So there are a total of 4 grant awards in our region. 1 to the Bridgewater Council on Aging, 1 to the Brockton Area Transit Authority, 1 to Old Colony Planning Council, and 1 to the South Shore Community Action Council. And you can see those projects and the various amounts on your page as we presented at the last MPO meeting. So if you want to, so this has been out for a public review and comment period. We did receive a few comments, all positive, nothing negative. So, and you can see the summary on your page. So I'll just briefly go through it. So Mr. Lambert, the administrator of Brockton Area Transit Authority, he expressed his appreciation for the grant award to their authority, and that was so noted. From the town of Bridgewater, Mr. Carlton Hunt similarly expressed appreciation to MassDOT for the grant to the Bridgewater Council on Aging. We presented the amendment to the Old Colony Planning Council Board of Directors on January 25th. That board unanimously approved the amendment as written with no comment. And finally, on February 2nd, we presented to the Old Colony Joint Transportation Committee, and similarly, they approved as written without comment or notes. So those are the comments received. They're all positive. All have been noted. And so at this time, if there aren't any further questions, I'd ask this board to endorse TIP Amendment 1 for the FFY 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions for Bill? Anything else to add? Okay. Seeing none. So at this time, I'll ask for a motion and second to endorse this amendment as presented.
I'll make that motion. Dan Salvucci from Whitman.
I'll second it. Mary Anderson, West Bridgewater.
Okay, great. Thank you. So motion having been made and seconded. Ask one more time if there are any questions, comments.
If I may,
Yeah, go
I'd just like
ahead,
to, thank you. I'd just like to echo Michael's words of thanks to MassDOT for their consideration, and also congratulate the other recipients of this competitive grant program. Exciting to see the projects ongoing in the region. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yep. Well, we'll pass along to our Rail and Transit Division. It is a great program. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Charlie.
Derek Cravette,
Yes.
Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Kamaya Parkin,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Mary Anderson,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Glenn Geiler,
Yes.
Valerie Massard.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So next on the agenda is the development of the federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 Old Colony Transportation Improvement Program and a review of the projects as a result of our recent TIP readiness days. So I will hand it over to Bill again to go through this one.
Yep. Thanks, Derek. So as you all know, we are in the process of developing our 2024 to 2028 TIP. And as Derek just noted, a couple of weeks ago, we had our TIP readiness day. That's an annual day that the MPO and different divisions of MassDOT get together and we look at the existing 23 to 2027 TIP and how those projects are progressing and the current state of them, and whether they should be moved in the TIP, whether moving up sooner or back, or if they look good for where they are. And then we start to look at 2028 and projects from our universe of projects and how those are looking for potential 2028 projects. So just want to, yeah, you can skip forward. So I'll just go through the projects one by one here. So first one in first one in your handout you can see is the Brockton intersection improvements related work Center Street at Cary Street, Lyman Street. That's programmed for 2024, and that is still looking good for 2024. So no movement on, no recommended movement on that. Also in Brockton, there's systemic countermeasures and safe systems approach citywide at various intersections. That was programmed for 2024, and it's being recommended to push back to 2025, and there's concurrence on that. Stoughton corridor improvements on Route 138, advanced construction phase 2 of 2. Phase 1 is looking good, expected to be advertised this year. And so phase 2 would be programmed next year, and that is looking good. Brockton Route 123, Center Street at Plymouth Street. That's programmed for 2024 and still looking good for 2024. Clinton Bridge replacement, Winnetoxet Road over the Winnetoxet River. That is programmed for 2024, still looking good for 2024. Brockton improvements and related work on Crescent Street at Grove Street, including the Grove Street Bridge. That is programmed toward 2025 and still on track for 2025. Easton corridor improvements on Route 138, including the intersections of Route 138 at Elm Street. This is programmed for 2025, still looking good for 2025. Duxbury signal improvements, or signal installation, I should say. The Route 3 ramps at Route 3A. This is programmed for 2026, still looking good for 2026. Abington intersection improvements at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street. This is programmed for 2026, still looking good for 2026. Hanson corridor improvements on Route 14 from the Pembroke Town Line to Indian Head Street. This was programmed for advanced construction beginning in 2026. That would have been phase 1 of 2, and with phase 2 in 2027. The recommendation on this project is to push it back to 2027. There are significant utility issues with this roadway that the town is working through right now. It's in question if those issues could be resolved to meet a potential advertising date in 2026. So as of right now, the recommendation is to push this back to 2027. Avon intersection improvements, Route 28, Spring Street and Harrison Boulevard. That was programmed for 2026, still looking good for 2026. And then Hanson again, this would have been phase 2 of the advanced construction. And so where we recommended 2027 for phase 1, will be 2028 for phase 2. Brockton intersection improvements on Crescent Street at Quincy Street, Massasoit Boulevard. This was programmed for 2027. The recommendation on this is it's 2050, which is basic code that's used to move it out of the 5-year the 5-year tip for now. There's significant right-of-way issues with this project. It's been around for a long time, and at this point, yeah, the 25% design would have to be redone. Since tip readiness day, Oakland Planning Council has met with the city of Brockton. We did discuss this project, and there'll be a likely meeting between the city, Oak Colony Planning Council, and MassDOT to discuss this project further. It's been around for a while. We recognize we recognize the importance of the project, and but I think at this point, there's just several issues that have to be worked out, and I believe that MassDOT is also sending a letter to the city explaining the issues with this project. So as of right now, the recommendation is to not, keep keep it as an active project, but move it out of that 5-year tip for now. Okay, next. Duxbury, the bridge replacement, Powder Point Bridge, Powder Point Avenue over Duxbury Bay. This is a mega project. Was originally programmed 2027 for advanced construction over 4 years, so 27, 28, 29, and 30, and that schedule remains, so that's unchanged. Stoughton reconstruction of Turnpike Street. This is currently not programmed, and at this time, when don't anticipate programming this for 2028. So it's mainly a funding issue, trying to identify the funding for that project. Easton intersection improvements at Route 138 at Turnpike Street, Route 138 at Purchase Street, and Turnpike Street at Purchase Street. This is not programmed, but it is a potential 2028 project. And all these remaining projects, they're currently not programmed, but they are potential 2028. So Easton improvements on Foundry Street, Route 106, Route 23, also in Easton intersection related work, routes 138 and 123 from Belmont to Depot Street, Hanover, corridor improvements on Route 139, right there in the town center by the town hall, Abington intersection improvements, Route 18 at Route 123. And next one. Stoughton intersection improvements at Canton School and Summer. Brockton intersection improvements at routes 123 and Pearl Street, and at Pearl Street and Stonehill Street. Easton improvements on Foundry Street. Actually, that's a repeat from Pierce Street. I apologize for that. Abington intersection improvements at Route 139 Randolph Street, at Chestnut Street, and Brockton improvements on Forest Avenue from West Street to Brea Street. So these are all potential 2028 projects. Obviously, they're not all going to be 2028, but these are the projects that we're choosing from to potentially program 2028. So you'll note that so some projects are shifting around. So the next steps that we're working on right now are preparing a couple of different scenarios for programming 24 through 28, and we plan to present potential scenarios to the Joint Transportation Committee next week, get their feedback, and at the next convening of this board in March, presenting the plan is present a preferred set of alternatives, or preferred alternative for the tip. So I know I went through a lot here. I don't open up to any questions or comments from anyone.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Any questions or comments for Bill?
Yeah,
Oh,
Bill,
go
if I
ahead.
may, Dan Subwich from Whitman.
Yep.
I'm asking for Don Howard of Hanson, who's on the Water Commissioner. Do you see any improvement in between the towns of Hanson and I think Rockland and Abington, whatever, about the Route 14 project from Hanson to Pembroke as far as resurfacing? I know this has been on Don Howard's mind, God, for many years when he was attending our meetings.
Mhm.
And I don't see any advancement over the years. And I'm wondering, is there any possible hope that this project will get done?
Yeah, so I mean, the long story short, there's a lot happening in the background here with this project. There've there've been talks between the town of Hanson and the Abington Rockland, or I think it might be Rockland Abington Water
District.
Commission District. So that there are talks between those entities. That the district are the ones that own the water utility underground. So to advance this project, something what's called a subsurface utility exploration, or a SU, needs to be done. So basically that's to look at the condition of that pipe, how vulnerable it is to any reconstruction, because the belief is that, well, it is a very old pipe. It's a 137-year-old pipe, and in places it may be very close to the surface of the roadway. There's concern that construction on this roadway could severely compromise the integrity of that water line, which, as you imagine, serves a large amount of people in the region. And so that basically that exploration has to be done. They need to find out what the condition of that pipe is to begin with. So there is a lot happening in the background. I know, from the standpoint of these meetings, it doesn't seem like much is happening, but there are. We recently, Old Colony Planning Council recently had a meeting with the town and state legislators and MassDOT to talk about this.
Yeah, okay, in my opinion, that pipe that old, it's like the situation we had when we did Route 18 and 27 in Whitman, where there was a main pipe that was the original pipe, and we had that replaced. We convinced the townspeople to put the money forward to get it done, and MassDOT had it, you guys got it done. And I appreciate that, and that seems to be the smart thing to do on a pipe that's that old. Let's not resurface a road and all of a sudden it ruptures. That's
Right.
not what we should do, so. Well, I'll tell Don that he needs to get on the ball and try and get the three towns together to come up with a solution so that this project can go forward. Okay, thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So Bill, it's the case that one of the big gaps right now is in federal fiscal year 2024. Is that right? And there's also a cost increase on the Stoughton project that's AC'd between 23 and 24. So will your scenarios consider potentially changing that balance of that project? I know there's a cost increase on it as well. So any thoughts on that, and if you'll be coordinating with the district or others on the gap in 2024?
Yeah, we're coordinating. Regardless, as you mentioned, there's a significant cost increase on that price. So we're going to need another amendment process, so tip amendment 2 later this spring to accommodate that. But yeah, we're coordinating with the district on that.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Bill? Okay, great. Well, thanks, Bill. So yeah, we'll look forward then to seeing the JTC's recommendations and discussion, and back next month to see the scenarios.
Thank you.
Preferred list. Yep. Okay. So next on the agenda, I believe, is a status report on the Route 18 corridor study in the communities of Bridgewater and East Bridgewater. So I believe Gun Chang and Ray will be presenting them this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I have a short presentation on the status of a Route 18 study. Next slide, please. Next slide. Our Route 18 study is in the towns of East Bridgewater and Bridgewater. That's a geographic scope, approximately 9 miles. And the purpose is going to be to address mobility and congestion within the corridor, as well as safety for all road users. That includes transit, bicycling, and walking. And the purpose is to develop some short-term and long-term projects, possibly in the tip for funding from other sources. Our focus is on traffic volumes, 24-hour, as well as peak hour, bottlenecks, congested areas such as East Bridgewater Center and Central Square in Bridgewater. Those are two main bottlenecks that are in this corridor. We include, of course, safety, crash experience. And that includes bicycle and pedestrian safety, also truck operations. And what's also important is the changes in land use and zoning. There's some development that's happening in the corridor that's going to impact the traffic within the corridor. And we are expecting a final report in September 2023. Next, please. This is our timeline. So we've developed the scope, and we've done the existing conditions data collection. We've had some stakeholder meetings to discuss the concerns of the towns, as well as to get an idea from them what kind of development is happening in the corridor. We are going to do, we've done existing conditions. We're going to do potential future build and no build scenarios and analysis. Again, we're going to go to the stakeholders to develop recommendations and projects. And again, we're going to have a draft and then a final report in September 2023. Next, please. We have developed a survey. I'm not going to go through all the questions, but we have a goal by the end of this month. Hopefully by the end of the week, we're going to go live with our survey. We have it in English, French, Haitian Creole, Portuguese, and Spanish, and minimally town websites, OCPC websites, as well as social media to try to get the word out there, to get people to get the public's idea of what they think should be happening in the corridor. Next, please. I just flagged this slide. Just shows some of the safety locations that are on the top 200 crash list from Mass DOT. Mass DOT develops the top 200 crash list for 2017 to 2019. They do have data up to 2022, but that data, that 3-year span, 2022, 2021, and 2020 has not been closed out, what they call closed out, because they look through it to see if there's any inconsistencies. So their latest data that they have that they're confident with, they developed the top 200 crash locations. There's one in Bridgewater, which is Bedford Street at Grove Street. And there are 2 in East Bridgewater, and one is North Central at Union Street, which is not actually on Route 18, but we included it in the study because it's part of that whole system, circulation system in East Bridgewater Center. And the other intersection that's on the list is North Bedford Street, Route 18 at Highland Street, and that's in the north part of East Bridgewater towards Whitman. Next, please. And I'm not going to go through all the intersections, but we have 20 intersections, and we've done, as I said, we've done the crash analysis. We have crash rates, and you can see some of actually the highest crash rate was Bedford Street, Spring Street, Central Street, Maple Avenue, but that's in the center. It's 2.41. That's in the center of East Bridgewater. But the other high crash rates are, of course, the intersections that are on the top 200. And another high crash rate intersection is Bedford Street at West Street, Route 106, and East Street in East Bridgewater. Next, please. We also did level of service. And we have a lot of level of service Fs. And part of the problem with the corridor is, especially at these intersections, you can see with stop signs, they have level of service F. It's not level of service F for Route 18, but for the stop sign intersections, it's for the side street, because during the peak hour, the volumes are so high, there's not enough gaps in the in the system to gaps in the, I'm sorry, in the corridor to allow safe movement out of the side streets. And our town centers in Bridgewater and East Bridgewater are also F, which is no surprise. The intersection of North Bedford Street at Route 18, Highland Street, which is our first intersection, actually has decent level of service, but it's not what we were seeing out there. We were seeing long queues, especially in the afternoon. It was moving well, but I think because that intersection is misaligned in the model, computer model, you can't really get that in the synchro analysis. It shows a little bit better, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but next, please. Potential and future development. As I said, we met with some of the officials in East Bridgewater, and this is going to have a pretty big impact. The future development of in East Bridgewater. They created a sewer district, and they have an agreement with City of Brockton to extend the sewer line, and this is right near Whitman, just south of Whitman, along the corridor. There's an existing Compass Medical building, and they have plans for expanding to at least 2 buildings. And there's a 400 square foot warehouse, which I believe is being built right now. And there's also some residential condominiums that are coming to the area too. Next, please. This shows the same area, and it shows the extension from Brockton, which is coming in from the west, and is going all the way over to Route 18, and then down parallel through the parcels in the sewer district. Next, please. So we also looked at previous study in 2009. Old Colony Planning Council did a Route 18 corridor study, but we included more of the towns. It was much wider geographically. It was much longer study. Some of the projects that are existing PRC approved are resurfacing Route 18 and construction. That's actually already underway. It's almost finished. It might be finished. It's right near the high school, just south of East Bridgewater Center. The next one is improvements at Route 18 West Street and East Street, which is PRC approved. And the last one in East Bridgewater is that intersection at Highland Street and Route 18, which is near that new sewer district. So that intersection is that. You know, it's good that we have a project there because that area is going to be impacted. Next, please. In Bridgewater, there's also a number of projects. Well, we did the 2009 corridor study. We included Bridgewater Center. There was also additionally, there was a road safety audit just recently done at Grove Street and Route 18, Route 28, which is south of Bridgewater Central Square. And they did reverse Grove Street one way to see if that improves. We have to go out there and count cars again because they reversed the one way. And they're supposed to add some pedestrian bump outs and some flashing beacons. The PRC projects in Bridgewater, bridge replacement over the Taunton River. I think that's an old one that was done a while ago. Intersection improvements at Winter Street signalization. That's another old one that's been done. And the intersection improvements at Broad Street and High Street. That intersection is now signalized also. So those are all complete. Next, please. This just shows the Bridgewater Central Square. There was a study done in 2020 to evaluate the conditions in Central Square in Bridgewater. They were going to push all the through traffic to one side and have some local traffic on the other side. Right now, it's one-way southbound on one side and then one-way northbound on the other side. I don't believe the city is not, the city is not going to pursue this, but they're still looking for improvements in Central Square. One of the drawbacks of this is that it only gives one lane northbound, and with 2 lanes, it's at failure going northbound through the Central Square for the through traffic. So next, please. So our next step is, as I said, we're going to look at TransCAD, our model, and look at the future development and have some future scenarios. We're going to, with consultation with the stakeholders, develop some potential improvements and alternatives. We're going to test those alternatives and try and then our draft report 2023 with comments from the stakeholders. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Bill, if I may, Ray, excuse me.
Yep.
Where Route 18 is a truck route, like I've always said, when doing your study, I would like you to consider turn ratios of trucks. Maybe there are setbacks on side roads when they're turning in where there's going to be more commercial traffic in that area with the buildings going on. So it's just one of my concerns that I've seen tractor trailers jumping sidewalks, trying to make a tight turn. And I'm thinking setbacks on side streets to give them more space would be appropriate, but that's your ball. That's in your ballpark, not mine. Thank you.
Sure, definitely. Yep.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, go ahead, Pam.
Just a quick question. As far as the high crash locations, I know one of the projects that we had initiated was 18 and 106. Is that, I didn't notice, and maybe I missed it, but is that still high crash?
Yeah, I believe it was. That's in East Bridgewater.
Right, just south
Yep.
of the project we finished.
Yeah, I believe it still was on there. Yes.
Thanks, Pam. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you, Ray. That was a great presentation.
You're welcome.
All right, so next item on the agenda is administrative matters, other business, and date and time of next meeting. I'll turn it over to Charlie to go through some updates.
Sure. Thank you, Derek. So we have 2 announcements. One is save the date, and registration is available for the 2023 MassDOT Transportation Innovation Conference. It's being held over 2 days, May 2nd and May 3rd at the DCU Center in Worcester. Next page. And there's a web link there where you can see more information and register for the conference. Next is our federal partners at the US DOT have provided some upcoming information at a webinar that's going to be revealed on March 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. on state freight plan guidance and the National Freight Program. So next slide, please. There's the actual flyer for the event. So folks interested in this can certainly register for this free event. And next slide. And our next course of business is asking the MPO signatories to save the date of March 21st at 10 a.m. for your next MPO meeting. And please take note of the additional menu of upcoming meeting dates as we're right in the thick of the 3C document preparation cycle. And that's what we have for updates.
Thanks, Charlie. Any questions for Charlie? Or any other business from MPO members? Okay. Seeing none, I think we can move on to our last item, which is adjournment. So I'll just ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
I'll motion that, Dan from Whitman.
I'll second that, Mary Anderson, West Bridgewater.
Okay, thank you. I think without objection, we are adjourned. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you back here next month. Have a great
Yep,
day.
Thank you.
Good
Very
day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.